Think about the last time you cried. Now think about who was in the room with you. If the answer is no one, if you waited, held it in, found a private moment, a locked bathroom, a parked car with the engine off, then this video isn't just going to be interesting to you. It's going to feel like someone read your diary. Because there is a very specific type of person in this world. And from the outside, they are almost impossible to identify. They seem steady. Reliable. The kind of person other people lean on. They show up. They listen. They ask the right questions. They remember the things you mentioned once in passing and check on you about them weeks later. But alone? Alone is a completely different story. Alone, they fall apart in ways that would genuinely shock the people who think they know them. And here's the part that makes this psychologically fascinating: they're not hiding their pain because they're dishonest. They're hiding it because somewhere along the way, their nervous system made a decision. A very quiet, very permanent decision. Vulnerability is not safe here. And once that decision gets made, especially when it gets made young, it rewires everything. How you move through relationships. How you ask for help. Whether you ask for help at all. What you do when something breaks you. Where you go. How long you stay there. How quickly you fix your face before you walk back out. These people don't cry in private because they're weak. They cry in private because they've learned, through real experience, through real disappointment, that the alternative costs more than they can afford. Now, before we go deeper, I want to ask you something. Does this already sound like you? Or does it sound like someone you love? Drop it in the comments, because the way people answer that question says something important. And I want to know. Let's talk about where this actually starts. Because people don't arrive at emotional secrecy by accident. There's always a trail. And psychology is very clear that it almost always leads back to the same place: early experiences that taught them what happened when they showed someone their pain. For some, it was a parent who responded to tears with irritation. Who said stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Who made sensitivity feel like a character flaw, something to be corrected rather than held. For others it was subtler. No one was cruel. But no one came either. They cried and the room stayed empty. They hurt and life just kept moving around them as if their pain had no weight. And a child's brain, trying to make sense of that, lands on one terrifying conclusion. My emotions are not worth interrupting anyone for. That belief doesn't announce itself. It just quietly restructures everything. By the time they're adults, they've become so fluent in "I'm fine" that they almost believe it themselves. They've gotten so good at performing okay that the performance has started to feel like the real thing. Almost. And here's what that looks like in practice. They become the most dependable person in every room they enter. Not because life is easy for them, but because taking care of others gives them somewhere to put all that emotional energy that has nowhere else to go. They become the friend who answers at midnight. The colleague who notices when someone seems off. The partner who remembers every anniversary, every small preference, every wound you mentioned once while you were tired. They are extraordinary at holding other people's pain. And completely untrained at holding their own. So when something hits them, a rejection, a loss, a moment of profound loneliness, they don't reach out. They go through the motions of the day. They laugh at the right moments. They respond to texts. They make dinner, finish work, have normal conversations. And then they find a moment alone. The shower. The car. The last hour of the night when the house finally goes quiet. And that's where the real version of that day happens. There's actually a psychological mechanism behind this that most people never examine. It's called emotional suppression, and it's different from emotional regulation in one critical way. Regulation means you feel the emotion and find a healthy way to move through it. Suppression means you feel the emotion, recognize it's not safe to express, and manually press it down. File it away. Keep moving. The problem is that suppressed emotion doesn't dissolve. It accumulates. Every unfelt cry adds to the archive. Every swallowed pain, every bitten lip, every "I'm fine that wasn't fine," it all gets stored. And the body keeps a shockingly accurate record. Researchers have found consistent links between chronic emotional suppression and physical symptoms, tension headaches, disrupted sleep, a low-grade exhaustion that no amount of rest seems to cure. The tiredness these people feel isn't laziness. It's the weight of a full archive. And when they finally do break, when the private moment comes and the tears arrive, it is almost never about just the thing that happened today. It's the thing that happened today plus the thing from 3 weeks ago plus the thing they never let themselves feel from 2 years ago. It all comes at once. Which is why they cry in a way that frightens them sometimes. Because it doesn't feel proportionate. And then they judge themselves for that too. Why am I this emotional over something so small? But it wasn't small. It was just the last thing in a very long line. Here's the question I want you to sit with for a second. When was the last time someone asked how you were, and you told them the truth? Not the social truth. Not the version designed to not worry anyone. The real one. If you're struggling to remember, you might already know which side of this you're on. And if this is landing somewhere real, share this video with someone who needs to feel less alone in it. They probably won't tell you they needed it. But they will feel it. So what does this cost them? Really cost them? Not just the tiredness. Not just the accumulated grief. But the deeper price, the one that shows up in their relationships, in their sense of self, in the quiet loneliness that follows them even into rooms full of people who love them. Here's what happens over time to someone who never lets themselves be witnessed in pain. They start to feel fundamentally unknowable. Not because they're complicated. But because the people closest to them are only ever seeing the edited version. The version that has already composed itself. The version that already processed the hard parts alone, in the dark, and came back to the table looking fine. And when you're only ever seen as fine, when fine becomes your entire identity to the people around you, something slowly breaks down inside. You start to wonder if anyone actually knows you. Or if they just know the performance. That question, quiet as it is one of the loneliest questions a person can carry. Because the painful answer is, it's partly their own doing. They built the wall. They maintained it. They got so good at keeping people at a comfortable distance that now the distance feels permanent. And they don't entirely know how to close it. Psychology calls this the vulnerability paradox. The very people who most need deep connection are often the ones who have built the most sophisticated systems for avoiding it. Not out of arrogance. Out of protection. Out of a history that taught them that being truly seen is not safe. But here's the uncomfortable truth that sits underneath all of this. The wall doesn't actually protect them. It just makes the pain quieter. More private. More theirs alone. And there is a point, and most people who cry in private know exactly what point I'm talking about, where the aloneness of it becomes its own wound. Where you're not just grieving the original thing anymore. You're grieving the fact that you're grieving it alone. Again. So what changes this? And I want to be honest with you here, because this isn't the part where I give you 3 neat steps and a motivational send-off. What changes this is something much slower and much more uncomfortable. It's one moment of letting someone see you before you're ready. Not performing vulnerability. Not strategically opening up in a calculated way. But one genuine, imperfect, slightly terrifying moment where you let the mask slip in front of someone, and you stay in the room long enough to see what they do with it. Because here's what most private criers have never actually tested. Their assumption, the deep, foundational assumption that was installed in childhood, is that being seen in pain will cost them something. Respect. Love. The relationship itself. But that assumption was formed in rooms that aren't their rooms anymore. By people who aren't the people in their lives now. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, when they finally let someone in, what they find on the other side is not judgment. It's relief. Not just their own. But the other person's too. Because the people who love them have often felt the distance. Have often sensed the wall without being able to name it. And being finally trusted with the real version of someone, that is not a burden. That is intimacy. That is what connection actually feels like when it's working. If you cry in private, if you have spent years being the strong one, the steady one, the one who holds everything together in public and falls apart alone, I want you to hear this. You are not too much. You were just in the wrong rooms. And the fact that you still feel this deeply, after everything that taught you to hide it, that is not weakness wearing a disguise. That is one of the most quietly remarkable things about you. If this video reached something you haven't talked about in a while, let me know in the comments. And if someone came to mind while you were watching, someone who always seems okay, who always shows up, who never asks for much, maybe send this to them. Not with a message attached. Just send it. They'll understand why. Subscribe if you want more of this. More honest. More human. More of the psychology that actually sounds like real life. I'll see you in the next one.